All right, joining us to have a chat about what's happening around the school is our sports director at Maribyrnong Sports Academy, Mark McCallion. And Mark, term 3 is almost done.
Yeah, almost there, and really pleased to say that the way that students and staff have just continued to stick with our online and remote learning programs has been fantastic. So we're filming this the day after the first lot of parent-teacher interviews, and the feedback that the school's got from the majority of parents has been that people are really seeing the hard work that staff have put in, and pleased that the students have actually responded as well as they can. So yeah, really happy with where we've got to. Little bit to go, get through term 3. Term 4, at least we're now seeing a few dates when we know we should be back, and fingers crossed that the numbers of cases in Victoria of coronavirus continue to decrease, and then we can get back face to face and start back to a COVID normal, as they say now. So
it's been an exhausting term for everybody and an exhausting year. I presume that the recommendation from you and the principal class, I suppose, at the school is for everyone just to have a break over the school holidays and just totally refresh as much as you can.
Absolutely, and it's obviously difficult from some ways because we can't go away or we can't go to visit friends the way we have in the past, but as much as we can, if we can take those school holiday time to recharge and come back, as I said, when hopefully we can start to get back face to face and get back stuck into it. So yeah, hopefully staff and students can use that break to recharge and get ready for a great term 4.
Yeah, the fingers crossed that can happen. And I suppose really the only thing that we sort of do know about term 4, and as you said, that may change, is that our senior students, our year 11 and 12s, will be the only students to come back in the first week of term 4 to do the GAT. And that will be it until week 2, when we think that the 11 and 12s will then come back, followed by the rest of the school a few weeks later.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, as I said before, fingers crossed that the number of cases in Victoria or in Melbourne continues to decrease, and that things can open up. So looking forward, as I said before, to have students back face to face, so we can get back into what is a sports academy as we know it and a college as we know it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Right. But before we go, you've been interviewing people for the MSA News over the last few months and doing a great job. And you always stand up at our events behind the microphone and on the podium. And you're always interviewing staff and students from the college. So today, what I thought is I'm going to interview you. We're going to get to know you a little bit better, if that's possible. All right. So strap yourself in, because I've got some really tough questions for you. But the first one, you're the voice of the G. So for those that don't know, you do a lot of the ground announcing and worked at the MCG for many years. So can you start this interview with a welcome that you would normally do when you're the voice announcer at the MCG?
I suppose I can. All right, here we go. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Maribyrnong Sports Academy and our MSA News. Coming off the long run is Mark McCallion.
Very good. I love it. So hopefully people have been to the G and actually heard that voice booming out of the speakers. Now, your full name is Anthony Christopher Shebeki. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does anybody call you Anthony?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yeah, and actually a couple of my aunties, probably the older brigade, have had trouble changing to Tony. My mum calls me Tony when she's mad with me.
Oh, really?
It's really strange. But otherwise, it's just normally Anthony. It's actually it's weird when I hear someone call me Anthony, because I just don't recognise it at all. And Christopher was the middle name was actually meant to be my first name, but my grandmother stood in at the time when I was born and said, no, he's got to be named after his grandfather. So that name carried through. So that's how I got the Anthony Shebeki part. Now, I'm Anthony Shebeki. I have a cousin who's Tony Shebeki. So that gets very confusing. I have an uncle who's Anthony Richard Shebeki. So I'll take Tony.
Very good. Very good. Now, where did you grow up and where did you go to school?
Yep. So born in Preston. Stayed there until I was around about 7 or 8 years old. Went to St. Raphael's Primary School there, and then moved out to St. Peter and Paul's, out to Doncaster Primary School at St. Peter and Paul's for the remainder of my time, and then went to Marston College for a couple of years. Went to boarding school at St. Bede's in Mentone for years 8 and 9, and then came back to Marston to finish off my I think it was HSC then. It wasn't matric. I think we'd passed matric, but it wasn't VCE. So HSC. It was at the time.
Very good. So sport was big for you growing up?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, sport was really big. Sport for school was really big, which was something that I suppose our kids at Maribyrnong Sports Academy don't get that opportunity to really feel like they do at private schools. And it is a massive part of being a part of a private school, and it was with Marston and St. Bede. So I played everything that was available. I was involved in rugby league, rugby union, Aussie rules, cricket, the whole works, whatever was there. Just loved sport, really did. And played my junior footy at a club called Beverly Hills in Doncaster, the same club that I think Paul Roos went to as a junior, and then moved out to the western suburbs when I was a little bit older, and played most of my senior footy out there with Hoppers Crossing and Wintervale.
Okay, so obviously the love of sport was there from an early age, but what about the media side?
Yeah, that's a funny one. So in what was it, under 16s at Beverly Hills preliminary final, we won, and unfortunately I broke my collarbone, which was the third time I'd done it. So it was fairly yes and no. I went through a whole week of physio, did a training session on the Saturday. Unfortunately, I passed it, but the coach just said, if you were to get another knock, it could be the end of your footy and stuff, so we're not going to risk you. So at that point in time, we're talking under 16, so I would have been 1993. One of the dads came up to me and said, I've just got this brand new thing. It's called a video camera. You put a tape in here and you can plug a microphone in, and I'm going to film the game. Can you commentate it? Because you're a good talker. And, I was doing mobile DJing and DJing at roller skating rinks at the time.
Yeah.
So he said, if you know all the plays, so he said, if you can commentate, that'd be great. So I did that. We won. We beat McLeod for the first time in like 4 years. They'd been undefeated through all our junior years. Won the grand final, played it back at the club rooms. Everyone was just over the moon with it, thought it was great. So from that point on, I thought, well, that could be where I might head. So I really took that path down commentary from sort of that 15, 16-year-old age, and commentated my first AFL match as a 21-year-old for a local community station, 3WRB, who were doing all the Footscray home and away games at the time with Harry Beitzel, Laurie Sandilands, Tommy Layer from those guys. So, yeah, it was a good introduction.
So how was your path out of secondary school into that world, into the media world?
Yeah, well, path out of secondary school was more, from secondary school I went and worked with the State Bank. So I did that for 6 years, 3 years as a teller and 3 years in their IT department. But my entry into commentary was via working with a community radio station in 3WRB in the western suburbs. So I was there when they came on board with the Footscray calls. They sort of went through the station and said, is there anyone interested in commentating? And I put my hand up and sort of got the gig from there. And that's really then how my sort of time started in commentary.
Right. So now you've commentated like thousands of sports virtually. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to name as many sports as you can that you've worked on.
Okay, so Aussie rules, cricket.
Hang on, I'll starting now.
Aussie rules, cricket, tennis, golf, rowing, canoeing, basketball, baseball. Oh, my God. I've been to Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games. I've been to Winter Olympics, done all three when I was with SEN. I commentated gladiators. I've done wrestling. I've done soccer, was a big part of my commentary. Kickboxing.
Oh, that's 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds. And there was more to come. You didn't have to mention motorsport, yeah. Did you? Did you mention motorsport then?
Yeah, I didn't put motorsport in, of course. That's probably my big thing now. Exactly. Yeah. And I suppose what allows me to do all those sports And people will say, well, how can you commentate a sport if you don't know the sport? And I think the biggest thing for me with commentary is just commentate what you see. Don't try and be the expert. You've got people who are there to do that, special comments people. Just commentate the play. And Harry Beitzel said to me as a 21-year-old, he said, I know you've done your job if you can get a blind person to see what you're talking about. So if someone can actually visualise your commentary, then your job's done. That's all you need to do. And I've always stuck with that. I've never tried to be an expert because I'm just not, especially when you're doing so many different sports. So just call the action and make it sound fun and exciting.
So Com Games and Olympic Games?
Yeah, so my first games were the Winter Games in Vancouver, which was amazing because I love the Winter Games. You can nearly die in every sport apart from curling. So it actually makes it exciting. There's something happening all the time. Those sports are just great. Com Games were then next was Olympic Games in London in 2012, and then Com Games in Glasgow in 2014. And it just highlights of my whole career to be involved in something so big and just amazing. And you're doing 18-hour days. You're working your guts out trying to get everything back for Australia, and the timing is all wrong and all that sort of stuff. But you get through the 2 weeks and you wonder how you did it, and then you crash pretty bad at the end of it.
And what sports did you commentate at the Olympics?
No, I didn't actually commentate. It was just reporting. So just sending reports back and doing interviews and stuff like that. So unfortunately, SEN at the time didn't have the rights for any of the sports, but we were able to send over a reporter, and that was me.
Yeah, fantastic. The Gladiators?
Yeah, did the Gladiators for all 2 years that they were here in the first time I was around back in the mid-90s. So 67 episodes, and that was really interesting because I didn't actually get to commentate the first episode of Gladiators until 3 days before it went to air. So they'd picked another guy. It came down to myself and him. The other guy had a bit more of a media profile at the time. He was a DJ at Triple M in Sydney. So they went with him, and he just didn't work out. So on the Wednesday, they rang me and they said, we've got our show starting on Saturday and we can't put it to air with what we've got. We need you to come up here and do the voice for the first 2 shows, and then we'll see how we go from there. And that was pretty much, the rest was history. A 12-hour recording session on the Thursday, got episode 1 done, and then on the Friday, my voice was shot. I was just a mess.
So our students wouldn't have seen that version of the Gladiators, but they may have seen the later version.
The later version, yeah.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. It's there. Just check out Gladiators Series 1, Australian Gladiators, and you'll see the likes of Vulcan and Storm and Flame and Tower and all those sort of guys. It was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it was. Now, we're going to play a little bit of word association.
Okay.
So if I say Melbourne Knights, what do you say?
Yep. I say tattoo on my left hip. I made the stupid call one week when I was commentating the NSL at the time at Geelong. Melbourne Knights played Brisbane. Knights lost 3-0, and their finals hopes were all but shot. And I went on and said that they're playing that bad at the moment that if they make the finals, it'll be, it just won't happen. Well, the supporters got up in arms, and one bloke said, I'll tell you what, let's make a bet. If they do make the finals, you get the Melbourne Knights tattoo logoed on your body. And I said, well, I'll get it on my backside because it will be pure ass if they made it. And, the rest is history. They lost the last match. They won the last match 2-1 to make the finals, and then I had to go get the tattoo, and that was, I had to do a lap of the ground before the start of the first final, which was Melbourne Knights versus South Melbourne. So all the Croatian fans loved me, and all the Greek fans wanted to kill me. It was dangerous stuff.
Well, we won't ask to see it, but when I looked that up, I was
happy to show it.
Very funny. No, I think we're right, Tony. All right. What about the title you won at the Vic Market?
Oh, the pie-eating competition.
Yeah.
I actually hold 2 titles very close to my heart. One is the pie-eating competition, and one is the hot dog eating competition. And I was just looking around to see if I had the trophy close. No, I don't. So I won the pie-eating competition at the Vic Market. I ate 4 pies in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
and
as
then
you
at
do.
the... Sorry?
As you do.
As you do. And then the hot dog eating competition was 6 hot dogs in 2 minutes. And that was at the darts at Etihad Stadium. I think they were sponsored by Don Smallgood, so they had a hot dog competition. So love my food.
Yeah, okay. And now one of your sons has carried on that.
Well, he sort of did, didn't he, in Watermelon Boy, young Mitchell, who was in year 9 at Maribyrnong. And, went on to become Watermelon Boy and world renowned. I think had 1 million hits, 1 million views on YouTube in the first day of the year 2016, I think it was back then.
So explain what he did for those that didn't see it. Explain what he did.
Oh, so, well, here's the video of it right here so you can watch it as I talk about it. And you can see that he's eating a whole watermelon. So he said that he wanted to do something to get on television. So he took a whole watermelon to the MCG. And as you can see, he started and finished with that piece right there. So, that was massive. The fact that he ate a whole watermelon, skin and all, at the cricket. It was a T20 match between the Stars and the Renegades. And he started in the women's match and finished at the end of the men's match.
Very good. Now, so you just mentioned Mitchell's at Maribyrnong College. And so you've had a number of your kids at the school, so you obviously believe in the college and the program. So just interested in your view from a parent's point of view on your take on Maribyrnong College.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough. My eldest son, Daniel, was in the very first intake in the Maribyrnong Sports Academy. What was that, about 12, 13 years ago in the AFL program. Did that for 3 years and finished his schooling there. And then my 2 youngest boys, Connor, is in year 11 this year, and Mitchell, as we said, year 9, both at Maribyrnong. And amazing. I mean, to see where the school has come from to where it is now, the progress has been just astronomical. And I was involved on school council early on as well, so was very much a part of making some of those early decisions in regards to getting the school moving forward. And the facilities, I don't know, the parents now wouldn't know the facilities that we had back then when we first started, but we just had like a basketball court, the old gym behind the theatre, and that was everything. That was where they did all their ADP. It's where they did all their training. We didn't have tennis courts. We didn't have soccer pitches. We didn't have a hockey field. We didn't have badminton courts. Nothing was there. But kids still progressed through, and it was the first of its kind, and now it's probably the best of its kind, still 13 years on. And it's a credit to people like Rod Carroll and those guys and yourself, Nick Scott and the team that have kept the progress going forward. And who knows what it could be in another 10 years. But all I know is every sports person that I speak to that comes to Maribyrnong to do a chat with us in front of our kids or whatever it might be, they all say, my God, I wish I had this when I was a kid. You know, I went on and won gold medals and did all that sort of stuff, but if I had had this, imagine how much better I still could have been. And that's just a fact that the kids have to realise that what they have are world-class facilities, and they just need to take full advantage of it.
Yep. Great words. Now, you're also a bit of a change of tack, but you're involved with an initiative called the Male Hug.
Yeah, so a friend of mine and I started it. We were talking about it last year, and we found that there were no facilities or no opportunities for professional men in the workforce, accountants, lawyers, doctors, all that sort of stuff, even teachers to an extent, to actually go and talk to someone with the stresses that were a part of life. And my friend, my best mate, Tony Rabber, who's the CEO of the company, is an accountant, and he had all these people putting their problems onto him. He had his own problems as well, and all the stress was building up, and there was nowhere for him to talk. So we started the Male Hug to give professional males an opportunity to have an outlet to speak and to encourage men to talk about their issues. It's been very much an issue that men have had for a long time, where they don't talk. They hold a lot of that stuff in. Everyone's spoken about that. So we've started up a campaign which kicks off in a few weeks' time called Talktober. And we're encouraging every man around Australia to ring a mate every day over the 30 days or 31 days of October and just talk to someone. If you've only got 10 mates, ring those 10 mates 3 times over the month. But just ring someone every day and just start the conversation. How are you? What's happening? How you been? Sorry we haven't been in touch for a few weeks. Hope everything's good. Anything you want to chat about? That sort of stuff. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. 5 minutes will do it. But if you do that every day, you will feel better in yourself because you're talking and your mates will feel better because they've got someone to talk to. So if you want to be involved, themailhug.com.au, register for the Talktober Challenge and ring a mate every day for October. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, great stuff. Excellent. All right. Now, am I right in saying you're in the National Boys Choir?
I was the lead soprano. And it's a bit hard to believe with my deep voice now, but I was the lead soprano in the National Boys Choir when I was 10 years old and was kicked out of the National Boys Choir because my family went to Europe and I had to go on a holiday with them over Christmas. And Christmas is a really busy time for the National Boys Choir. They have all their carols and they have a big concert, or they did at Bathurst at the time. So because I couldn't go on that, they said, well, look, if you've got to make a choice, Europe with the family or Bathurst with the National Boys Choir. I didn't get a chance anyway. Mum and Dad said exactly what I was doing, so that was that. But, yeah, was in a band as a kid after that, had a couple of bands going and lead singer and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay. And now what about, so on the singing topic, so you can sing one song to the theme of another?
Oh, yeah, I can. So the Australian National Anthem, I can sing to the tune of Gilligan's Island.
All right. So some of our students
we need to do it at the school assembly one day.
Well, I was going to say, can you do it now?
I can do it now. Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth foretold, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. Advance Australia fair.
On that note, I think we'll finish this chat up. It's been great to get a little bit more knowledge of the background of Anthony Christopher Shebeki. Some things that I didn't know when I started to do some background on this interview. But
that's the things that I tried to forget that you've now brought back.
Great to get to know you, and just, yeah, your background's amazing. And it's, yeah, the more you get to know Tony Shebeki, the more you realise just how many things you've been involved with, and just the enthusiasm you've got for, and the passion you've got for everything that you do in life. So keep up the good work, and great to have this interview today.
Thanks, Mark. And I've got to say that it's easy to have that passion when you're working with the people that we work with. And we've got some amazing staff at Maribyrnong Sports Academy that just keep everyone vibed up and going. And, yeah, looking forward to many more years to come.
Great. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Mark. That's the end of Maribyrnong. Our MSA news for this week. We'll catch you again, hopefully in term 4.